The saga unfolds with a looming shadow over Gideon's dynasty. The celebrated judge, victor over countless armies and liberator of Israel, fathered numerous sons with diverse women. Yet one son born to a concubine in Shechem, Abimelech, harbored a unique and intense ambition. He inherited Gideon's legacy and a ruthless drive, thriving like tenacious thorns amidst barren stones. Though his noble brothers dwelled distantly, clinging tighter to their father's legacy, Abimelech gazed upon the vacant throne with burning ambition. Born of servitude, he faced a profound social hurdle. Neither the eldest nor blessed with tribal allegiance, he refused to accept his fate, choosing instead to rewrite the very fabric of power within Shechem, his birthplace, where he meticulously cultivated the seeds of his burgeoning influence. The metropolis resonated with his mother's legacy, a vibrant canvas for his ambitions. Soon he was forging powerful alliances, subtly planning innovative concepts, and skillfully persuading influential figures that a sovereign from their own soil surpassed the fractured remnants of a fallen warlord. Thus his grand proposition was conceived. Why entrust power to Gideon's 70 sons when a single, empathetic leader could ascend the throne? A leader forged from the people, intimately familiar with their struggles and triumphs. His compelling words resonated, nearly captivating all who listened. Yet concealed beneath the surface was a sinister ambition, an insatiable craving for dominion that brooked no rivals. Secured backing, leveraged 70 silver pieces pilfered from Balarith's temple, enlisting aid for his ambitious venture. The question, exacted in bloodshed, journeying to Ophrah, their familial city, he systematically slaughtered each brother upon a single stone. Merely Jotham evaded the carnage, not simply a massacre, but a defiant proclamation. He staunchly refused any superior. Thus, on the foundation of his brother's corpses, Abimelech seized the throne, not divinely chosen, but by violently shaping his fate. A king unanointed, fueled by fierce ambition and maintained through terror. If you've watched this intently, it signifies God intends to unveil something extraordinary to you. Comment, "I have faith in you, God." Support this video and join our community to discover his message for you. Seize this opportunity. He's speaking directly to you. Abimelech's reign was built on violence, but such foundations are never enduring. In Shechem, the city that embraced and crowned him, discontent began to erode public confidence. The very coalition that propelled him to power now harbored doubts. The leaders who once championed his ascent started whispering apprehensively. The city seemed tainted, as if by the reverberating echoes of the 70 brothers' bloodshed. Jotham, sole survivor of the carnage, escaped, leaving a fiery tale. Ascending Mount Gerizim, he proclaimed a parable that ignited Shechem's inhabitants. Once the trees sought a sovereign, yet each declined until the prickly, perilous thorn bush took the crown, mirroring Abimelech. A fable perhaps, but a stark caution. The warning resonated: ally with the thorn, and inevitably you'll be scorched. As time wore on, deterioration became strikingly evident. In response to injustice, God unleashed a malevolent spirit, sowing discord between Abimelech and Shechem's people. Loyalty morphed into deep-seated distrust. Leaders conspired, not overtly, but subtly, plotting against him. They set up highway ambushes, attacked travelers, and spread anarchy throughout the kingdom. This move aimed to subtly erode his power base, avoiding a direct clash. Amidst this volatile situation, Gal, the son of Ebed, surfaced as a fresh face, perceiving Shechem as fertile ground to contest the oppressor. He skillfully garnered support from the populace, arguing that the city deserved a rightful ruler, a descendant of Hamor, Shechem's esteemed patriarch, not a pretender like Abimelech. Gal possessed the artistry to ignite the populace's pride and historical consciousness. As fortunes shifted, Abimelech remained oblivious to the brewing tempest. His crown radiated brilliance, yet the earth trembled beneath him. A reign inaugurated by raw power was now consumed by insidious machinations. The very individuals who had elevated him now honed their words into lethal weapons. The seemingly unyielding edifice of his rule began to disintegrate from the core. As confidence in Abimelech crumbled within Shechem, Jotham's pronouncements reverberated, an unhealed sore. The vision of Mount Gerizim persisted in the recollections of the venerable leaders and seasoned fighters who beheld that extraordinary address. He possessed no legions. He brandished no weapon. Yet his articulation pierced far more profoundly than any steel. It was there that Jotham, his eyes burning with agony and righteous indignation, delivered the allegory of the trees. In this tale, told with poignant simplicity, he laid bare the utter corruption of the people's decision. The trees desired a sovereign. Initially, they approached the olive tree, subsequently the fig tree, then the grapevine. Each demurred, prioritizing their higher calling over dominion. Ultimately, they turned to the bramble, and he conceded. Yet the bramble offers no solace nor bounty. Its sole vow was devastation should it be defied. A potent allegory indeed. Abimelech embodied the bramble, and the populace sought refuge beneath its prickly limbs. These pronouncements transcended mere symbolism. They unveiled Shechem's shared misjudgment, a sanguinary agreement forged with a man unanchored in divine principles. Jotham didn't aim to incite rebellion, but rather to unveil the truth before their eyes. He concluded his address with a stark caution. Should their selection of Abimelech prove righteous, may prosperity befall them. Yet, should their decision be unjust, let a consuming fire erupt from the brambles, devouring even the mighty cedars of Lebanon, signifying the imminent self-destruction of Abimelech and the Shechemites. The disregarded prophecy felt like a lifetime ago. Now, amidst the city's chaos and Gaul's audacious power grab, the tale's foresight became chillingly clear. Citizens now understood they'd knelt to a power-hungry man, not a divinely appointed leader. Political unrest and internal treachery festered like a burning wound as Jotham's chilling prediction unfolded relentlessly. He vanished post-speech, yet his influence lingered. It was as though Mount Gerizim still resonated, a reminder that even the thorn bush might endure a spell of rain. But inevitably, its concealed fire ignites and spreads. The thorn bush's blaze was nascent, but sparks were already igniting minds everywhere. He ruled, yet dwelled in the chilling penumbra of his choices. Fear, his paramount defense, reigned supreme. Each unfamiliar stir was met with stark suspicion. Abimelech gathered men sworn to wealth, not allegiance. Loyalists remained for personal gain, not reverence. The bond between the king and Shechem's citizens became a precarious edifice, threatening imminent dissolution. Amidst this incessant turmoil, Gal, Abed's scion, rose with amplified audacity. He embodied a refreshing alternative, a novel figure amidst the chaos, and the weary populace started heeding him more closely. Gal not only denounced Abimelech, but also confronted him openly. During a boisterous gathering fueled by wine and arrogance, he proclaimed before Shechem's dignitaries that Abimelech was unfit for the throne. "By what right does he dictate to us?" he declared, emphasizing his lineage from the venerable founders of the city. Zebul, the city's steward and ally to Abimelech, overheard all and swiftly alerted the king. The suppressed tension erupted into outright conflagration, marking the commencement of a head-on clash. Upon learning of the insurrection, Abimelech responded as was his wont, with calculated force and decisive action. Crafting cunning ambushes, he fragmented his forces, launching a pre-dawn strike against Shem. The struggle transcended mere politics, erupting into armed conflict. His brief 3-year rule revealed that wielding power through force meant perpetually teetering on the brink. The inherent instability stemmed not from external threats, but festered within the very foundation of his dominion. Abimelech's rule seemed doomed from its inception, haunted by a malevolent fate, a curse of spilled blood, of ruthlessly seized authority, and a treacherous alliance forged in dread. As Jotham foretold, events unfolded amidst a tapestry of spears, lurking shadows, and pervasive suspicion. An ominous stillness descended upon Shechem as Abimelech's forces strategically encircled the city. Every move was meticulously planned, every breath suspended. Zebul, the governor, meticulously orchestrated the ambush, masking his treachery to Gaul while stoking the king's rage. This impending clash transcended a mere succession dispute. It heralded the thorny judgment. Gaul, invigorated by his fiery rhetoric, awoke oblivious to the city's encirclement. As the initial troop formations materialized on the ridges, he desperately attempted to warn Zebul. However, the governor, with a scornful air, feigned ignorance. It felt like he was ridiculing Gaul's innocence. By the time the soldiers commenced their descent down the inclines, it was far too late. Zebul then unveiled his genuine allegiance, daring Gaul to either confront him or escape. The clash was intense. Gaul attempted defiance, rallied his forces, and met Abimelech at Shechem's gates. However, his hastily assembled army lacked the readiness and might of the kings. The people who once celebrated him at feasts now wavered between dread and indifference. Gaul's bravery dissolved in the face of the brutal reprisal. Swiftly vanquished, he and his brothers were exiled. Triumph fueled Abimelech. Restoring order wasn't enough. Mercy was foreign to him. Destruction, not appeasement, was his aim. He redeployed his forces, laying yet another trap for the rebellious Shechem citizens. Countless perished in the fields, ambushed and vulnerable. The king then unleashed a cataclysmic assault upon the city. He seized Shechem, massacred its people, and obliterated all in his path. As a final brutal statement, he sowed salt into the ruins, a testament to eternal desolation. Nothing shall ever flourish there anew. The land that once crowned him was rendered a desolate wasteland by his own decree. Abimelech triumphed, yet the victory left a bitter, ashen taste. The city that had once lauded him now stood eerily silent, with echoes of Jotham's pronouncements resonating more vividly than ever before. After the brutal decimation of the populace insulting the ruins of Shechem, Abimelech did not withdraw. The venom of vengeance coursed deeper than any fleeting satisfaction. He perceived not just foes within the city, but also betrayers, lingering specters of his disgrace. Any defiance would be met with even greater intensity. He uncovered that a segment of the populace had escaped, finding sanctuary in the Elereth Temple's tower, a strengthened edifice acting as both haven and sacred emblem. Abimelech acted decisively without pause. He encircled the tower, commanding his troops to gather seasoned branches and felled trees from the adjacent forest. Each soldier bore bundles of wood upon their backs, resembling a solemn procession bearing gifts. Yet the altar would be one of raging fire and utter devastation. They amassed the wood around the tower, and upon the king's decree, ignited the pyre. Infernal flames devoured the very air, engulfing the temple and all souls trapped within. Men, women, and children perished, succumbing to asphyxiation or agonizing burns. Over 1,000 lives extinguished. No adversary would evade the thorn bush's wrath. What began as a simple suppression escalated into a macabre ritual of utter annihilation. Abimelech not only neutralized the challenge, but obliterated any trace of those who dared defy his power. His legacy is no longer defined by triumphs, but by rampant pillage, bloodshed, and devastation. Shechem, which once hailed him as king, vanished in flames of its own making. However, this vengeful roar came at a steep cost. Rather than reclaim his kingdom, Abimelech became universally dreaded. Tales of his unbridled rage cascaded to other cities, sowing widespread panic. Authentic support evaporated, replaced by chilling silence and deceptive obedience. The populace no longer perceived a sovereign, but a looming menace, a blade poised to descend upon any individual. Despite Shechem's ascension, Abimelech remained unappeased, his bruised ego craving further retribution. Fueled by an insatiable hunger for devastation, he marched his forces toward the den of thieves, suspecting it harbored a greater number of dissenters. Once more, the relentless cycle of devastation, peril, and annihilation recommenced. The blaze emanating from the bramble had already consumed the proud cedars. Now it relentlessly sought the last vestiges of life throughout Israel. Plumes of smoke still hung heavy over the smoldering ruins of Shechem as Abimelech advanced with his forces towards Thebez. The king, insatiably craving control, found no respite, his wrath amplified by prior devastation. He viewed Thebes as a mere symptom of his inflicted retribution. Any defiance would be obliterated, any silence would be shattered with brutal force. Yet, unlike Shechem, these thieves had not bestowed upon him his crown. A city of calculated indifference, perhaps simply wary of the encroaching chaos. On arrival, Abimelech unfurled his strategy anew. He assaulted the periphery, unleashed pandemonium, and the inhabitants, consumed by terror, fled toward the city's central tower, their final sanctuary, the thieves' tallest and most fortified stronghold. It was there they were determined to stand their ground. Yet the unyielding thorn bush, true to its character, remained undeterred by adversity. Having already set ablaze a tower in Shechem, why wouldn't he replicate his success? He rallied his troops, commanding them to gather branches, dried timber, anything to amplify the inferno, and with the same unwavering resolve, he marched towards the tower's foundation. Stationing himself by the entrance, he seemed poised to personally conclude his reign of terror. But then, a twist of fate. From the huddled masses above, a nameless woman, fueled by desperation, hurled a hefty millstone with all her might. The stone whirled ethereally, defying gravity, striking Abimelech's skull with brutal force. The king reeled, crimson cascaded, realizing his demise was imminent. Yet, even facing death, arrogance prevailed. He urgently summoned his armor-bearer, pleading, "Slay me with steel, deny them the tale of a woman's victory over me." His body plummeted swiftly thereafter, ending the reign of the thorn bush. The enigmatic woman of Thebes was no warrior, judge, or prophetess. Yet, with a single resolute act, she toppled the despot who had terrorized Israel. The long-awaited justice descended unexpectedly, not through armies, but via a stone hurled by unseen hands. The demise of Abimelech held profound symbolism, exceeding mere brutality. His end didn't arrive from a battlefield clash or a warrior uprising. Instead, a humble stone, hurled by an unknown woman, abruptly halted the ascent of a man who sought kingship through bloodshed. The very arrogance he carried from Shechem to the den of thieves became his final, ironic exhalation. In a final act of defiance, Abimelech begged his armor-bearer for death, a futile grasp at shaping his legacy. Yet, no blade could obscure the witnessed reality. The men bore witness to his downfall, and history would forever echo the truth. Abimelech, the self-styled king, was vanquished by a woman. The reverberations of his disgrace surged forth with a velocity outpacing even tales of his triumphs. In a society where masculine prowess was paramount, it served as an undeniable omen. He who had ascended by ambition was now dethroned by hubris. His lifeless form lay still beneath the Tower of Rogues, as his troops faltered in retreat, utterly devastated and stripped of morale. The purpose was extinguished. The reign had ended. Purpose had vanished. All the rage, every drop of blood shed, transformed into mere dust, just like the tyrant who orchestrated the dread. The thorny bush was ultimately uprooted, not by a grander blade, but by something he foolishly dismissed. Abimelech's saga concluded not in triumph, but in utter desolation. Utter devastation engulfed him entirely. Shechem, brigands, his deceased brethren, all became fragments of a haunting path now turning to condemn him, as if the very earth had imbibed every grievance and, with divine timing, regurgitated it as pure retribution. And thus, Israel witnessed the dire consequences of a man ascending without celestial sanction. Abimelech's ascent to the throne wasn't ordained by divine right, but crafted through cunning and intimidation. Monarchs established on such shaky ground, irrespective of their initial success, invariably meet their downfall. Retribution might appear delayed, yet its arrival is inevitable, striking with unyielding accuracy like a precisely aimed stone. Abimelech's lifeless form now rests upon the earth. His saga thundered through Israel's highlands. His demise transcended tyranny, mirroring divine justice for ignored righteousness. His fate echoed among tribes, a stark lesson, not a lament. The stone's crushing blow sealed a cycle he ignited. The relentless cycle of injustice exacts its pound of flesh. Sacred texts offer no sanctuary for lukewarm interpretations. The divine word unequivocally states retribution for Abimelech's transgressions against his brethren. 70 innocent souls extinguished upon a solitary altar now burden him with a weight mirroring his arrogance. This transcends earthly justice. It was divine retribution, an unforgiving cosmic reckoning. Shechem, the city that once enabled him, faced its own grim fate. It harvested the bitter fruit of aligning with a king driven by earthly ambition, devoid of divine purpose. The devastation that engulfed its inhabitants was a consequence, not a chance occurrence. This event was an undeniable reckoning. The blazing thorn bush engulfed all, even the mighty cedars. Jotham's parable transcended metaphor, becoming a stark, tangible truth. Passed down through generations, this narrative stood as a poignant caution to Israel, a persistent, unspoken reminder. Never align with injustice, regardless of its initial allure. Evil might triumph temporarily, yet it's never truly unaddressed. Justice might be postponed, but its arrival is absolute. Neither fortress, nor monument, nor royalty can withstand the immensity of divine retribution. Abimelech's course demonstrated that God needs no sword to execute his will. Occasionally, a mere pebble and a humble hand suffice, for divine focus rests not on instrumental force, but on unwavering execution of judgment. Within this saga, the verdict resonated profoundly. Those who traverse devious routes shall inevitably stumble upon unforeseen downfalls. When providence itself meddles, even the mightiest crumbles into oblivion. Abimelech's narrative transcended a mere tale of decline. She persevered as a stark admonition, echoing through ancestral bonfires and Levite hymns. His name resonated as a chilling emblem of all that must be avoided. A tyranny forged in death, sustained by dread, and culminating in utter disgrace. Every phase of his ascent bore a bitter truth, like thorns etched into the flesh of Israel's past. The primary lesson remains stark. Not every ascent to power stems from a sacred calling. Abimelech seized a calling unsanctioned by God. His journey was sculpted by aspiration, divorced from obedience. In stark contrast to the divinely inspired judges before him, he operated independently, consumed by a ravenous hunger for dominion. Inevitably, when one usurps a position unwarranted, chaos engulfs everything within their sphere of influence. The second lesson delves into the fallacy of absolute authority. Abimelech was convinced that extinguishing his brethren would obliterate all competition. However, in reality, he cultivated a breeding ground for clandestine adversaries and perpetual suspicion. Authority divorced from righteousness resembles a structure built upon shifting sands. Inevitably, everything crumbles. And when that inevitable downfall occurs, the descent is not only steep, but utterly disgraceful. A profound lesson emerges regarding alliances of expedience. The Shechem leaders, fully cognizant of Abimelech's disposition, embraced him as one of their brethren, overlooking his inherent brutality, gambling on fleeting political advantages. This imprudent decision proved devastating. When individuals willfully disregard malevolence for self-serving benefits, inevitably they shall be engulfed by the conflagration they actively fueled. Ultimately, the Abimelech saga imparts that divine providence never ignores inequity. While the unscrupulous may flourish momentarily, celestial justice invariably emerges, striking with unerring accuracy. A single stone cast by an ordinary woman culminated a narrative once deemed unstoppable. Divine intervention arrived subtly. After Abimelech's demise, Israel progressed. Yet, the recollection of Abimelech resurfaced whenever ambition stirred thoughts of illegitimate rule or power acquired through violence, serving as a stark reminder that crowns obtained unjustly inflict profound wounds, a reality embodied by his sorrowful reign. If you're captivated by compelling Bible narratives like King Abimelech's, I encourage you to join our community so you won't miss future releases. Give us a thumbs up and spread this video to someone dear to you who seeks a deeper understanding of God's teachings. May divine grace be upon you, and until our next encounter.